Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Build a Beast. Hello, thank you guys so much for joining us today. This is going to be a very different type of stream. We are here with a functional, clear purpose. No music and partying and shenanigans here today. It is all business as I'm starting a journey here to level up my life. I had a great year last year, but really have found room to grow and optimize. So, in the beginning of this year, I was looking for someone that could help me on that journey. I missed the feeling of when I was a college athlete, you could feel when you're at peak performance and just another level of energy. And that is what we're tapping into with this show, Build a Beast. We have an elite performance coach and trainer backstage here that's going to be the star of our show this season, and we'll be sharing this journey together. You guys here in the audience can be a part of this experience with me and with us. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and bring our coach for the season onto the show. He is an elite performance trainer coming from the world of the NHL, high-level athletes, executives, everybody that's trying to be in the top of their game. He has a master's of science in physiology. Definitely knows what he's talking about. Is a data nerd. I love that piece. And he has mastered this concept that I'll let him explain called the energy equation. And this is essentially how can we use data-driven optimization to optimize every single piece of our life. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Justin Ruffling Chauffeur. What's up?
What's up, my man?
Thank you.
Like, if I could have that type of intro every time I walked into a room, I would 100% do that.
Oh, love it. Love it. Love it, man. So grateful for you to share your expertise and your time with us. I realize how valuable it is. So for those of you that are going to be joining us on this journey, I won't be able to interact with the chat a lot, but we do have an open Q&A section we'll save for the end. But this is going to be a high level program. This is something that NHL teams and companies are paying 5 and 6 figures for this type of work. So thank you for sharing your time. Thank you for joining us in the audience. And thank you, Justin. What we're talking about today is these fun little things, wearable technology, data, figuring out what the hell it all means, because my amateur ass version just thought of it as like heart rate monitor, and that was like about it. But there's a whole nother world that I'm going to let you bring us into. So yeah, take it away, man. This stream is yours.
No, I appreciate that, Travis. And just as we were kind of going through this, how many of us out there, just take a second, have found ourselves striving for this level of what quote unquote is this high performer or high performance? And we sit back often, we're like, what does that actually mean? What is it actually putting us towards? Because it's turned into this commercialization of high performance. We have high performance coffee, we have high performance socks, we have high performance liquor, we have high performance clothing, we have high performance sleep aids. Everything has turned into this tone of high performance, where in actuality, we have no idea what it truly means to us and how to get it. What we see from 95% of the people that are showing up at our doorstep, who we're working with, is they're finding that they have energy at all the wrong times. They have energy when they're trying to go to sleep, and they're peeling themselves off the pillow in the morning. And it's the inverse effect of what we're actually trying to figure out and what we're trying to accomplish. So in doing so, creating the energy equation has really always been about mastering both our inner and outer energies. And from the outer energy piece, we have this filter that takes a look at DNA, takes a look at epigenetics, takes a look at information from different pieces of wearables. And so that is what we're truly looking for, is how to find what it is that's happening around us and truly intrinsically inside of us, and apply it to us to play our game and not the guru's game, not what everybody else is commercializing, not what it's coming out and saying, if you have this tea, this is the answer. If you have this workout, this is the answer. If you have this meditation, this is the answer. If you have this mindfulness practice, this is the answer. All of these things are great, but what do they mean for you? When are they appropriate? How do we utilize them? At what point are they going to be optimized for us? And and what we've ultimately done is created individualized solutions instead of group practical applications.
Brilliant. Brilliant. No, it's much needed. There's a whole like level of complexity and depth that I was not even aware existed prior to starting this adventure. So excited to get nerdy and go deep, man.
Absolutely. So on this journey, guys, we're going to be really diving in. We're using Travis as the individual, really utilizing him as the guinea pig to show you guys what is capable out there. Now, you may not have a Whoop band, you may not have an Oura ring, you may not have a Fitbit, an Apple Watch, a Polar, a Garmin, a Muse, you name it. I could go on and on and on. You may not have access to DNA epigenetic testing. You may not have access to any of this stuff. If you want more information, you can always go to my website. You can reach out. You can DM me. We have access to a lot of this stuff at very unique price points, and while being able to apply it in a unique way as well. So the key to all of this is making sure, again, that you are playing your game. We are figuring out the more information about ourselves. And it goes back to it where Jeff Bezos said, knowledge is power. And the more knowledge that we have about our bodies, the more we know about ourselves, the better we can create a change, the better we can create systems and practices that are actually applicable to us. So we're going to go through, and I'm just going to share my screen here. We're going to go through, and Travis, can you see that?
Not yet. That little middle button next to the camera should have the share screen, and then you can pick which window.
There we go. Love it.
There we go.
Love it. Love it.
Okay, so we can flip this, flip that, flip a little boom, bang, bing. There we go, baby.
Dig it. Dig it. So you guys have a feel of where we're going. We're going to really be diving down into our outer energy and taking a look at Travis's data, Travis's information in a very systematic way. And we're going to break it down into 8 different categories. And these categories stem from this. One is going to be exercise. And the big thing I want you guys to understand here is these are not in order of importance. Nutrition, hydration, sleep, stress management, immune function, environment / ecosystem, and finally, and certainly not least, mindset. And so these 8 parameters are things that we are going to be focused on through this whole journey, and utilizing data and information so that we can now drive forward in a way that has never been done before, especially for a lot of us. Because what happens so often is we come over into, and I'll pull up Travis's data here, but we come over into this space quite often, and we end up with this, just go to this Whoop page. We go into this and we look here and we're like, okay, I have HRV, I have resting heart rate, I have these recovery scores, I have a strain score, I have sleep with a bunch of numbers and informational pieces, but I really don't know what it means for me. I really don't know what it means to apply it in my life. What does this mean? How can I make things better? And what we want to do is we're going to bring it down to one key metric, and one key metric only in any wearable. So whether you have a Whoop band, whether you have an Oura ring, whether you have an Apple Watch, and Apple is funny because if you do have an Apple Watch, I guarantee you it's been pulling HRV data on you. And I'm going to show you how to do that in a second and how to find it. But HRV is the key metric. And we started with Travis a month ago. HRV is an inner metric of strain on the body. And so I'm going to come back here and share come back to this normal screen here, Travis. So I can come over to my trusty whiteboard. And if we take a look here and pull it up nice and tight, HRV is a measure of internal stress on our body, okay? So we've all seen this type of measurement, which is our EKG. Right at the top here is our R wave, which is the peak of the highest point. And what HRV is actually measuring is the time in milliseconds between the tops of these curves. And so let's say, for example, this is 550, this is 700, and this is 650, just for easy figuring. That means the difference between these two is 150 milliseconds. The difference between these two is 100 milliseconds. The average right here is 125. That means that our HRV score is equal to 125. So it is a sheer measure of time between beats. Now, it's not your heart rate. Let's not confuse that, because we can have a resting heart rate of 60 with an HRV of 70, and we can have a resting heart rate of 60 with an HRV of 95, simply because the timing of the beats is different. It's the EKG movement, and it's an internal measure of stress. There's two areas of stress in our body, and it's a spectrum. On this side, it's the parasympathetic system. On this side, it's the sympathetic system. Sympathetic, think about stress, fight, flight, get up and go. Where parasympathetic, rest, digest, relax. And we are always somewhere along this spectrum. And we need to make sure that we are allowing this spectrum to, again, oscillate freely back and forth, because so many of us live in this sympathetic overload, which thus affects our HRV. The lower our HRV, the higher our stress level, the higher our body is feeling stress. Keynote here, asterisk this, take a note down, write it down, put it in big words above your mirror, whatever. Our body does not know the difference between physical, mental, spiritual, emotional, or any other type of stress. It only sees it as stress. And thus, this is why exercise, a fight with your spouse, a tough decision at work, a hard day at work, will all have the same impact on our bodies. Thus, HRV is the one measure, the only measure in which we truly need to look at in order to optimize the habits and understand whether they're pushing us in the right or wrong direction, because it is so individualized. Now, when I say it's individualized, I'm saying that a high HRV for me at 112 doesn't mean that 112 is what Travis should be striving for. It is such an individualized metric that it is going to be individual for each one of you. But the trend line that we're looking for is wanting to see that trend line going upwards, meaning that what we are doing is working in the right direction. So in saying that, understanding there's two nervous systems, parasympathetic, sympathetic. Understanding that it's a spectrum of where we live. Understanding that within that spectrum, We are going to be on one side or the other, and we can do things such as meditation, such as mindfulness work, such as journaling, such as yoga, such as stretching, that will help us bring the response backwards. So all of a sudden we start to say, Justin, I get it. Now I understand why just doing meditation whenever throughout the day is not as important. I all of a sudden understand why doing mindfulness work at any point in the day is so important, but choosing when it is right for you. Because as soon as we understand that, and start to realize, oh, this is helping me and increasing my HRV on a trend, that it's fitting into your life. So with that being said, this is where I want us to start right now, okay, is the HRV. And we're going to go and dive into Travis's data right now, because we started about a month ago. And when Travis and I started, the old HRV score was not as poppin' as it was now. So let me bring this up over here. Okay. And I take a look at this. So if we take a look at Travis's HRV score, it started right down in that 42 area. Okay. Now, is that good or bad? It's neither. It's nothing. And the reason I say it's neither, it's nothing, is because it's arbitrary. It didn't mean anything to us back then. We need to gather more data. Now, in our journey together, we took this first week right up until Thursday, January 14th, and we looked at this and we're like, okay, interesting. We have yet to see us go on a continual trend upwards. What does that mean for Travis? It means a couple things. One, we are not doing things that are allowing this spectrum to be in a parasympathetic state. We also realized that he was under more stress, be it physical, emotional, spiritual, mental, that was holding him back from optimizing things. So what did we do? We instituted a night routine, something that allowed him to activate the parasympathetic nervous system. For Travis, we started with meditation. And then we started with a 3-2-1 rule. I love this 3-2-1 rule. 3 hours before bed, no food. 2 hours before bed, no more work. 1 hour before bed, no more blue light. And within that 1 hour window, we now focus on things that are going to improve HRV or improve parasympathetic response. And so, Travis, maybe talk to how that instituted into your life and how you felt putting that in.
Yeah, no, there were a few obvious pieces. I think seeing the sleep quality metric, I know we haven't tapped that one in quite yet, but it's all part of the same puzzle. I could literally see the days when I stayed up too late watching Netflix and discovered The Walking Dead, and wasn't able, my sleep quality went straight down. I was up till like 2 in the morning, and then I saw it start going like yellow, almost red. And then other days when I was strict about it, it was very obvious it would start pulling towards the green. So stuff that we've always kind of known in our heads probably really is given a new perspective when you see the numbers and the data supporting it.
And that's such a great point, Travis, because there was a couple things that I wanted to pull up here as well when we come back to sleep. So we're going to do a full day just on sleep because, I mean, to be honest with you, we can probably do 3 or 4 days on sleep. There's so much information there. And we know it's the number one driver in weight loss, the number one driver in mental health, the number one driver in chronic illness prevention, the number one driver of longevity. So sleep is super important. But when we come back and take a look at Travis's quality of sleep and the effect of it, you see here we got light sleep, then we've got slow wave sleep, and then we've got REM sleep. There's also this one phase, which I'll open up here as well, and it's called our wake phase. And so the quality of sleep that Travis was getting was actually impaired by that blue light exposure. And we see that here on that 17th. We see the difference in total quality sleep time. Now, our REM and slow wave sleep are the only times that our body is physically and mentally restoring itself. Light sleep and our awake phase, it's literally like we're playing dead. That's all it is. Our eyes are closed, we're laying there. It's as close as we're going to get to being dead before our clock runs out. But nothing's actually physically happening that's restorative to us. Nothing's happening with our lymphatic system that removes toxins from the brain. Nothing's happening with our memory formation. Nothing's happening with the detoxification of our body. Nothing is going on. It's simply we're just there. And if we notice on that day that Travis didn't limit his exposure, he got almost 8 hours of time in bed, but only had an hour and 45 minutes of quality sleep. Versus when he participated in, let's just even go to the next night, when he participated in that quality sleep routine, eliminated blue light, got his temperature down, was able to get into that parasympathetic nervous system or response before bed, adding in the meditation, adding in some of the showers in which we were doing. Look at the difference. 7 hours and 15 minutes of sleep, so 30 minutes less total, but all of a sudden went to an hour and 53 minutes of quality sleep, 2 hours and 6 minutes in REM, an hour 47 in slow wave. He more than doubled his quality sleep that he was getting. And that is the impact that we start to have. And it's something called sleep debt. And it's something that we cannot make up over the course of, think about making up an hour and 45 minutes over a course of 7 days. We're now talking about 12 hours in a week. We're talking about 36 hours in a month. We're talking about almost 400 hours in a year. It really adds up quickly, and it's hard to overcome this poor habit in which we're eliciting. And if we come back to it and we really take a look at what we were seeing in his recovery and HRV numbers mimic that perfectly. The days in which he was recovering and getting quality sleep, it was high. The days that he didn't, it was low. One of the lowest. It was that night right after the TV day. And notice how the effect drains on. But the other thing I want you to take a look at here, guys, is it's not just what happens in the day. It's what happens in your lifestyle overall, because it's not just one acute thing that's going to change that. It's on a greater scale. And that's coming from low, and we see that Travis is on an upward trend. That means those habits and those 7 areas in which he's focusing on, if we go back to that scale, which is exercise, nutrition, hydration, sleep, stress management, immune function, environment or ecosystem, and the last one, which we'll touch on later, is mindset, which is that 8th one. He is making changes with everything that we're doing, and we are seeing that HRV trend in the right direction. So the one thing, if I can leave with you guys today, that I want you to start measuring, start looking at, is that HRV metric, so that we can start getting some type of information, seeing where we are ending up on the parasympathetic to sympathetic scale, and starting to learn where we need to start putting metrics in order to make us healthier, stronger, and internally more bio-individualized in the choices that we're making day to day.
Amen. No, I had the mute here for the dogs in the background, so we might get some guest appearances from them. But no, it's the data nerd in me loves this so much, because there's so many points. Like the same way you would grow a business or optimize a business, you need the numbers. And I always just thought that they didn't quite exist, or it was in like this like unreachable level of like, oh, that's only for high level NHL players. Like we couldn't do that here with a Fitbit or Whoop Band or whatever. All of these wearable tech like has this information. It's crazy.
That's the wild part, is and it goes back to this quote that Simon Sinek said, and he said, if all it needed was information, we would be living in a world full of billionaires with 6-packs. If that's all it took was information. But it's, how do we apply that information? How do we take the information which we have in the Fitbit, in the different wearables, the Apple Watch, all of these things, It becomes, how do we take that information and apply it in something that means something to us? That's the biggest thing. So many of us are willing to look at these metrics and these numbers for our businesses, but yet we're not willing to learn and understand these metrics for our bodies. And ironically enough, our bodies and our minds and us is what runs our businesses. And so in coming from the world of the NHL and now applying it over to the some of the, I mean, we've got entrepreneurs and executives who are running Fortune 500 businesses. We're talking about BMW. We're talking about Sub-Zero. We're talking about Macy's. Like these people are all of a sudden starting to get it, because it doesn't matter how much money we have. It doesn't matter how far along we are when we understand that we're behind the 8 ball and we continue to ignore the signs and symptoms of what's going on. We have to be in massive amount of sleep debt. We have to have massive amounts of anxiety attacks. We have to have vomiting, difficulty eating, chronic disease come up before we even go, oh, maybe I can do that, but is there a pill to fix this? But literally we have equations there in which we can dive into and truly make a massive change to ourselves that are based upon us. And so this is what's truly exciting, is through this whole process together, guys, we're going to teach you things of how to look up your HRV. When you look at it, what is it meaning? We just touched the surface here. You can go to my content. You can see it every single day. You can go to, if you go to Master in 6 minutes, masterinSixminutes.com. I've got a full PDF and video as to how you can master your wearables for you utilizing HRV in under 6 minutes. So these are things that you can do to now level yourself up. And the better educated you are, the better decisions you can make. And through this whole process with Travis, we're going to look at his information to make sure, again, that he's running in the right direction. He's trending in the right direction. The areas of those 7 spots in which we talk about are moving, again, in the right direction. And the habits that he's adopting are the right ones for him. Because it's not just a habit that we're trying to adopt. It's the right habit for Travis at the right time. Meditation at 8 a.m. for Travis may not be the answer, but meditation at 2 in the afternoon to reset that circadian rhythm may be. And that's what we want to start to find out. And that's what we want to provide, so that at the end of the day, he can play his game, not worry about any of the noise, anything else that's going on around us, and optimize Travis.
Boom. Boom, baby. Yeah, I think everybody there, I did drop the link for that Master in 6 minutes. Feel free to head there right after if you need more details to capture all of the power of these wearables. It was a whole new world for me compared to what I actually thought they were capable of. So that's a brilliant place to start. And I think, yeah, this is universal for all wearables. I think there were a few people asking, like, does this work for Fitbit? Does this work for Apple Watch? And I'm pretty sure they have all of this in there.
Exactly. No,
Okay.
perfect. Absolutely awesome. The thing about this is it. I see one of these questions there. If you have a fixed budget and can only purchase one wearable, what would you pick and why? So myself being the nerd that I am, I've got everything. I've got everything from Apple to Polar to Garmin to Whoop, Oura Ring. And so you have to come up on a couple things. So if you're going to go with the Whoop Band, it's a subscription model. It's $30 a month. Travis, I'll send you a link that you can put in there so everybody can get a free Whoop Band. Plus, we'll cover their first month. Just again, I want to make it accessible to everybody. Where can I put that? Is there a chat that I can put it in, Travis?
Indeed. Yeah, the chat. Oh, that's the guest side of the chat. I think I have that Whoop link, so I will share it with everybody that's been here.
Okay.
When I get it. So yeah, the Whoop one, that's what I ended up going with, you guys. Sleek, little, easy breezy. But if you already have an existing one, it's very likely it has the numbers
100%. And
that you need.
so, but if you're gonna, so Whoop is $30 a month. If you want to go with something else that still gets HRV and can do so in a different way, that's a fixed cost. Your Aura Ring is going to be about $300. Your Polar you can get for about $300. Your Fitbit, which does obviously a multitude of things, is a little bit more expensive. But that is the key. So now I've got another question. I know I'd show you how to do this. So if you have an Apple watch, I want you to go into your phone here. I want you to go into Apple Health. It's going to be the clear one, or the white one with with a heart in the middle. That's going to populate open. And if you go to the bottom, it's going to say browse. And then let's see if I can show you this here without it doing some weird things. You can click on, you go to browse, and then it says heart. And then if you go down, it says heart rate variability. And all of a sudden in there, you will see every heart rate variability from every single night that it's grabbed from you. So another, just in summary, if you go back to Apple Health, it's the one with the heart in it, click on it, immediately to browse, immediately to heart, and then to heart rate variability. And that will give you all of that heart rate data, and it'll, again, stem over however long you've had your Apple Watch for, as long as you've activated Apple Health. It's amazing. It's something that will change your life in just simply tracking this metric over the course of time. So once you see that your HRV values are dropping, it's going to have an effect, and we're going to go over this over the next 8 to 12 weeks with Travis here, as to the effects and what decisions you're making are having on you from those 8 variables that I talked to you about, and very simple, tangible takeaways that you can start to implement that will really, truly change yourself. And next week when we come on, I'm going to give you, along with those 8 areas, all of these aspects, all of these aspects that can really truly impact you immediately. So I'll actually just tell it to you here, Travis. You can type it right in there for the free Whoop Band link. It's join.whoop.com/ownit. And then away you go. And yes, you're right. You can also save your HRV in favorites. Once you have that in Apple Health, and you pull that up, very easy for you to save that there, so you can check it again very simply every morning, and then where you need to go. So it's so it's great.
Brilliant, man. Brilliant. Any final words for people joining us next week? We're going to be tapping into, I believe the next piece is habits and scheduling and everything around that. Any homework that people can come to the table either ready with, or that would be helpful for continuing our journey here next week?
Yeah, 100%. Great question. So first thing is figure out one way in which you want to track HRV. If you already have one of these things that we've talked about, great. If you don't have something like this, a way in which we can artificially track HRV is, as soon as you wake up in the morning, as soon as you wake up, you roll over. The first thing I want you to do is find your pulse, either here or here, and just take a measure of your resting heart rate. Okay, a measure of your resting heart rate. And then I want you to write down, on a scale of 1 through 10, your overall stress level that you feel in terms of anxiety. 1 being not a care in the world. You could literally float off and you're like a euphoric state. 10 being like, oh my God, I'm about to have a panic attack. So resting heart rate, find it on a minute basis, and then right into your 1 through 10 stress level. I want you to do that for the next week, and I want you to bring that when you come the following Thursday. Because next week, really exciting. We're going to get into habits, and those habits are going to be ones that you can take away immediately, like immediate takeaways. You're going to come and you're going to be able to leave and go, Justin, I've got 8 new habits that I'm able to implement today. And Travis has been utilizing a lot of these already. We're going to start to curtail a couple of the ones in which he has. Um, but they're immediate takeaways from those 8 points that we just spoke about. And that is the starting block for everything.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Well, that's episode 1 of this adventure, you guys. Get your wearable, get hooked up on anything that can start tracking some of this data. Again, that key anchor piece is an HRV rate. That's what we're looking for as kind of your continuous KPI for all of us in the business realm. That's going to be our key performance indicator throughout this journey. Sweet, and we'll jump into the show next week on habits. Thank you so much, Justin. Appreciate you for kickstarting this adventure, and thank you to everybody in the audience. Feel free to reach out to Justin. Check out his company, Own It. They are rocking and rolling at a completely different level than everybody else. So well worth it. And yeah, we'll see all of you guys next week on Build a Beast.